Hey, folks, welcome to the Battles of the First World War podcast. Joining us today is Mr. Craig DeSteiguer, here to share with us the story of his grandfather and the novel he's written based on that story. I first heard of Craig through his commenting on my social media posts, and I reached out to him, and I have to say I'm so glad I did. We're going to get right into it because Craig has had an incredibly interesting life, and I want all of you to hear about it. So, Craig, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yes, thank you. I'm very grateful to be invited to the podcast, and whatever I can try to contribute to, I certainly will be. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the first thing is when we spoke on the phone, to set up our talk here,
Yeah.
you mentioned having visited 62 countries so far. So
Yes.
we have to we have to hear about this. Can can you tell us about your life growing up
Yes.
around the
Yes.
world?
Yes. I actually was born in Beaumont, Texas, in 1949, and my mother remarried at I was the age of one, and we left the United States in 1970 or 1955. My father was an engineer with an oil company, and we went to Venezuela. That was our first stay. And so that at that moment, the venture of worldwide and a lifetime started, and I've traveled, like I say, through many countries. I've lived in Libya. I actually grew up as a teenager in Libya, and during the 60s, I went to school in Europe, in Rome, Italy, for high school. Lived at college, went to college back in the United States for a period, and then I was with an engineering company, and then transferred to an oil company. Went back overseas for 9 years, and where I met my wife and my son was born. So I've lived in Libya and Libya, Italy. Um, I've lived in England a couple of times, and haven't, which I've traveled through back and forth many times.
Wow.
I was in Mexico for a while on a project. I've had a very exciting life and been exposed to quite a few cultures around the world, which I appreciate that, because I get to look at life from a different perspective than being in a narrow place. But so, after I retired 6 years ago from the oil company at the age of 70, finally, I started putting down the words on books that I have planned, and I've so far completed about 5 books, and just out of curiosity, fun, more for fun. I don't write books to sell. I do
Mhm.
it out of just curiosity and self satisfaction, and and extending information that I've gained through life, and I've been fortunate in that respect compared to many people.
Wow. What a fantastic outlook. I wanted to ask you like how how being exposed to like so many different countries and like Libya,
Yeah,
England, Rome. I
yeah,
mean, you're talking about like vastly different cultures. And
yes, absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
and before we started recording, you mentioned you've been to Iraq and
yes,
Afghanistan like
yes.
before the
For
wars there
wars, yes,
started.
yes, I did. Yeah.
Wow, wow, that's just what a remarkable life.
Thank
But
you.
before we get into your writing, which also sounds like you've been enormously productive in your retirement, how like how has it felt for you, Craig? Um, Having visited all these countries, and now you have sort of you've returned home to your
Yes,
original East Texas,
yes,
right?
yes,
How
yes.
does home feel now?
Uh, it's different, definitely, without a doubt. I still cherish being able to travel again a bit. Right now I'm kind of held held by a wheelchair for the moment, but I will be walking again very soon.
Ugh.
But no, I still travel where I can when I can, and I I love the foreign cultures that I've had to been introduced to, and uh, it's because I speak a little bit of Arabic, I speak a little Spanish, just enough to get my face slapped sometimes. But uh,
Yeah.
yeah, probably start a world war somewhere. But no, I enjoy the foreign cultures and what they have to present for me as a person. You
Sure.
know, and not just their culture themselves, but their religions as well. They're
Yeah.
so differently. And the vastness from say Italy versus that of Saudi Arabia or Yemen in particular, uh, totally different cultures from every aspect you can think about.
Yeah.
So in that respect, I do enjoy and I have enjoyed all of this. And today, even at my age, 76, I do plan on doing some more traveling. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And now being like, so it sounds like you still have the itch to like get out
Oh,
there
yeah,
and see.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome. So sometimes I tell, well, not sometimes, all the time actually. I tell my students that like as they graduate, that it's like, you know what, like go out, like leave your
Yes,
hometown.
absolutely.
Even if it's just for a little bit, because
Absolutely.
yeah, you may like when you come back, you will be a different person.
They will have a completely different aspect of life.
Yeah.
Even if they were to move to go out for a year somewhere
Yep.
into a foreign country, yes, their life would change. They would see the perspective of the adventure of a foreign culture.
God, that's a
And I love talking to students because of that very reason. Just as you just mentioned, it's very true. They must move forward and look at other lives and other cultures. Yes, absolutely.
very cool. Very cool. Now, my next question for you was going to be, did you grow up writing? It sounds like you began writing once you
Uh,
retired.
yeah, actually, I did. Kind of, I think I was about 8 years old,
Oh, okay.
and I started jotting things down. And of course, back in those days, our scribble, as we called it, uh, made notes. And for some reason, somehow, actually, here 50 years later, I happened to run across a lot of the notes that I had done at that age, and some of the poetry that I had done. And I'm actually working right now on a project to capture all of it for my family. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, and it'll be some short stories, and it goes from age about 7 or 8 all the way up to actually today.
Wow.
And different short stories and poetry that I've written. So yeah, I can say I've been around a while.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. And your writing, Craig, is it just observations of daily life and the world around you? And I know we're
Yes.
gonna get to your grandfather.
Yeah, but believe it or not, yes, it's very true. When you look at poetry in particular, you look at the short stories that were, say, I wrote 25, 40 years ago. Yes, it is a perspective of what life is like at that particular time. Yeah, without a doubt.
Oh,
And
awesome.
some of it today, we look at it, we go, "What were you kidding me?" Yeah, did I really say that, or did I really believe that back then? So it's how you look at something from 40 years ago to today, and it's just amazing what your mindset has changed to. Yeah,
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
very interesting to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. How you change as a person and how you
Yes, yes,
how you mature,
without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. So, what began your interest in the Great War?
Well, actually, uh, surprisingly enough, my grandmother, who was the wife to my grandfather, when I was a little boy, used to see her all the time, and I would, if we, on vacations back in the United States, uh, she would, I would ask her questions about my grandfather because I had never met my father and grandfather because he died in 1936. I was born in 1949. So, out of curiosity, what was my grandfather like? And my grandmother would tell me this and that, and so basically, a lot of the story that I put in the book, "Loan to the Summer," a doughboy's love story, is based on certain facts that my grandmother shared with me. Um, how true they are, I can't validate that except for take her word for it. But I knew that information was there, and about 4 years ago, believe it or not, of all things, I was wandering around in the bookstore, and I'm looking at things, and I thought, why am I not writing a book similar to some of these stories about my grandparents? So I literally came home and started drafting out something, and so the whole book came together in about 3 months. And of course, I had been to a lot of the places that my grandmother had mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
and in particular, of interest was in the very opening of the book. My grandfather's is riding in a train back in 1917 through East Texas. Well, I've actually been on that actual train when I was a little boy. I was about 3 years old, 4 years old, and we were traveling. I remember that train ride going through East Texas woods, and the windows being open and using the sash windows and a hard seats. I remember that. So all of that comes in play as part of the story. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Wow.
So it the love story itself. Yes, I had to fudge a little bit, but I certainly was not going to mention anything personal about my grandparents in that respect. Now, a lot of people ask, I believe a lot of people ask me, well, what was it very sexy? I'm like, no, it's not. It's a love story.
Yeah.
Where's your mind? But I enjoyed writing it. I really did. And, I knew he had done some poetry work.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't have any of his copies. I wish I had.
Okay.
So the portraits in the book is actually my own poetry,
Okay.
and but it's to help enhance the story because he was a bit deaf after he returned, from what I understand, from World War I, and worked in part of the library in a little small town, and helping other people and younger students learn how to write poetry.
Wow.
So I knew that was there, but I wish that I had copies of some of his work. And I think at one time my grandmother probably had some, but I was never exposed to it.
Okay.
Which now here, wish it had been.
Sure. Sure. Oh, amazing. So we have your grandfather was John Horace Merriman.
Correct.
And what you shared with me was that he was in Company E, 12th Infantry Regiment, and this was before World War One.
Yes,
he was already serving.
Yeah, okay. I think it was before the expedition left to go to Europe. Yes, from what I understand. Yeah,
yeah. So I asked a friend of mine, James Gregory, thanks, man, I really appreciate it. And we found out a little bit, and I wonder if this ties in with your information. So I think actually you wrote this. So like the 12th Infantry was assigned to the 8th Division during World War One, but was never deployed. It was actually on its way to be deployed to France.
Yes.
and was quarantined in New York on account of the flu pandemic at the time,
Yes,
which
at the
ties
time.
in with I think what you were telling me about your grandfather, like that he was severely affected by it.
Yes.
So my friend James Gregory, like there were some troop movements, and he actually came across a very, very close name in a transport log, and I wonder if there's any connection here. So October 7th, 1918, the transport logs for Company L, 122nd Infantry, 31st Division, listed a Jonah H. Merriman, um,
Ah,
whose service number was 3966707. Now, on the transport log, Jonah H. Merriman,
Jonathan. Yes.
the name was crossed out. So that's an indication that he may not have, he made it onto the list, but he may not have actually traveled on the
Ah,
ship. Um, my buddy tried searching that service number, but didn't find anything further.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
he may have transferred over to the 8th, but it looks like he didn't go overseas.
Ah,
And this part of the story kind of checks out with what you've indicated to me. So I don't know if that helps at all, and I can share all of that in an email to you.
yeah, I'd like to see that. That's
Yeah.
quite interesting because I can only base on what my grandmother expressed to me. So
Mhm.
I'm not what is truthful and what is not. Uh, One thing I did find out, or my nephew did, who does doing some research, that the 12th Infantry and some of the other infantry groups were transferring back and forth to each other people,
Yeah.
and so somewhere we think my grandfather was put in the mix, if you want to call it that,
Mhm.
and that's the only way we can confirm, besides my grandmother says, that he did go to France. So how to do it through military records, I don't know how to do that, and I really, if it turns out that he didn't, that's great. But my other question is to my grandmother would be, okay, then what really happened?
Right, right,
you
right,
know,
right. Now,
yeah,
interesting. Just to go back to your grandfather, like you have, like I think you indicated, like so he lost his hearing and he
yeah,
lost his ability to speak, um,
yes,
while he was in the service.
yes. But no, he could speak. What I'm saying, he could hear, but he cannot speak.
Okay, he could hear, he
Yeah,
could not speak.
yeah,
My apologies. And so he's presumably released from the army, and then
yes,
you said he worked in a library where
yes,
all right,
yes.
and he helped, and and then he helped kids write poetry and express themselves,
Correct. Yes,
while he was working at the
yes.
library. That's really admirable. That's amazing, and I love the fact that your grandfather did that, and you carried
Now
it.
I'm kind of doing it in a way.
Oh,
Yes, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I never thought of it that way through my life. Until I started putting the book together, and I thought, wow, you know, uh, I'm doing what my grandfather actually did, because I do even what I today I do it to schools and read poetry at times, sometimes at bookstores. I do, and
Mhm.
uh, it's the same kind of concept, really, that my grandfather had done,
Yeah,
and enjoy very much. Uh,
that's excellent.
I
So,
do a lot of poetry reading with music and narrate. So
oh, excellent, excellent.
yeah,
And how did you go about retelling your grandfather's story? So your story is called Loaned
Blown to
to
the
the Summer.
summer. Yeah, yeah. Well, as I said, I was thinking about in a bookstore one day, why am I not writing something to my grandparents? The
Sure.
stories that I'm starting to see, and I decided at that time that I would start jotting down my messages and my notes from what my grandmother had told me, and when I was about 12 and 15 years old on visits back to the United States. And I thought, why can't I just create a love story to go with it? Something that's clean in particular, certainly. And so that's how I kind of put this whole book together, and I knew some of the names. A lot of the people names in the book are real people and relatives of mine.
Okay.
Or my mother's, I should say, that side of the family. So it was kind of fun to do. It was just really just fun to do. It wasn't hard to do. It was just creatively fun to do. Yes, I had to empathize a little bit, but I managed to get it done, and I enjoyed the story itself.
Yeah. So do you pick up from like when you're I mean, not pick up, rather, my apologies. You start from when your grandparents met, and then like his time in the
Yeah.
service and everything, and his
Yes, I
return.
started at that time. My grandfather was traveling through into East Texas to meet a friend that he knew, and that evening they were out and they met my grandmother and other people. So that's how it got started. Now I remember some of that was true because my grandmother did express to me that she did meet my grandfather out one evening.
Okay.
And now I don't ask anything about that further, but
Sure.
or wouldn't have. But
Yeah.
I just used the basis of said to create the story to go with it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, amazing. Amazing. Now, so your grandfather, unfortunately, like he passed away in 1936.
1936,
Yeah,
yes.
so you get to meet him, and he was rather young. I think around. I actually looked up on findagrave.com, which is
Yeah, he was 36 years old when he died.
wow.
Yeah, he and my grandmother were the same age, and they were both born in the fall of 1899.
Okay.
My grandmother was born, I think October something of 1899, and he was born within. They were all within like just a couple months apart from each other, so I knew how old he was.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Do you know of like how, of what he passed away? Was it complications from the flu, or complications?
Well, I don't know if it's actually the flu, but I think what I'm starting to realize, I think probably what they call the Spanish flu at that
Hmm.
time
Yeah.
was a contributor to it.
Okay.
Even though I was told that it was something to do with the gas that he received in France, because
Interesting.
you got to remember in World War One, there was a great deal of use
Yes.
in the so I just assumed from that remark from my grandmother that was part of it.
Yeah. Well,
I think a lot of there was other influences as well.
yeah, and that actually checks out as well, because there's a lot of was it so many stories of men who were gassed
Yeah,
during the war, and then you
yeah,
see that they pass away like in the 20s and 30s, and they're still,
correct.
relatively young men, like
Yes,
in their 30s and 40s at this point, and it's
very,
very
very
young.
true.
Yeah, very young for them to pass away. Wow, that's amazing. I hope you're able to tease out that research
Well,
farther.
I have to give credit to you. You've given us the encouragement to encourage, I should say, to do a little more deep research best we can. And of course, my nephew, who's big Navy guy, he really digs into this. So I think we're going to do some more out of fun, out of interest more than anything.
That's
But
really cool.
we'll see how it turns out.
Oh, that's excellent. Excellent. And Craig, here's the last question here. Is where can folks get your book, how can they get their hands on it?
Right now, it's Amazon is the
Amazon.
easiest way to bring it up. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Okay.
I know that Amazon distributes it some to the other bookstores like Barnes and Noble, but I find it easiest really just call. I click onto Amazon and,
Okay.
and it'll pop right up.
Perfect. Okay. Well, great. I'll definitely I'll make sure that there's a link in the show notes
I
so that
appreciate that. That's very
listeners
kind. Yeah.
can click right on it. Let me just make a note of it here.
Yeah. I know that the World War One memorial people in Washington were very interested in the lead poem of that I wrote. And
Okay.
and I've had that poem narrated through other actually high schools, not only in the United States but Canada as well. The people call me and send me emails. Can we recite this poem? I said, sure, by all means.
Oh,
Um,
which poem is this, Craig?
that's the one called "Death in a Trench."
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have it? Do
Yes,
you
I
have
do.
it
I have it
there
here.
with you?
Yeah, it's "Death in a Trench." Let me sing no whispers of war. Let me tear my eyes of all the death that lay. Let me hold the hand of their last breath. Let me pray their soul is gone to home. Let me sing no whispers of war. For when I too come to home, to whisper songs no more of that war. And that's the lead point for the
Beautiful.
whole story, the whole book. From dedicated basically to the doughboys.
That's
But I
wonderful.
like it to dedicate to all the soldiers throughout life, of
Yeah.
our country.
Yep. Yep. Wow. Oh, thank you
So I've
so
been quite surprised about people really enjoyed that poem, and I thought that's very nice. But
No, it's
see
great.
how it goes.
Oh, that's awesome. Craig, I'll make sure that we get a link to your book. And
Great,
thank you
great.
so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. I've greatly enjoyed it, and if I can ever help out again, let me know. I enjoy the study of World War One, and now your interest in it has encouraged me to even start looking more into it. So, if you get a phone call from me, please answer.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. No worries.